Baby, I am standing in the rain, 'cause I'm never worried, but I know you hear me, know you feel my pain. In a hurry, baby, please come, I am standing in the rain.
In the quiet streets of Germania Park, Birmingham, what should have been a routine summer evening turned into a double homicide scene that still defies resolution. Just after 8 p.m. on August 21st, 2024, two people were shot, one inside a home, the other outside. By the next day, both were dead. Kayla Warren was killed inside her residence. Brian Adams was found wounded nearby and later died at the hospital. The response from authorities was immediate, but what followed was months of silence, dead ends, and then an unexpected breakthrough. Nearly 8 months after the murders, two men were arrested. One was named, the other never publicly identified. Capital murder charges were filed. The arrests were announced with confidence, but that confidence unraveled quickly. With no murder weapon, no eyewitnesses, and no direct physical evidence, prosecutors quietly dropped the charges. There would be no trial, no convictions, and no closure. Today, this double homicide remains open, unsolved, and largely unspoken. One suspect was named, arrested, and released. The other disappeared from the public record. The case that once seemed solved has returned to square one, with more questions now than answers. How were two people gunned down in a residential neighborhood with no one seeing anything? What led to the arrest of two individuals without enough evidence to hold them? And why has no new information emerged since the charges were dismissed? This isn't just another unsolved case. It's a rare example of a double homicide where everything seemed within reach, and yet nothing is held. The silence surrounding it is louder than the gunshots that started it. And now, nearly a year later, the question remains, who killed Kayla Warren and Brian Adams? And why hasn't anyone been held accountable? If you enjoy real crime stories that uncover truth, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps us share real cases, spread awareness, and give a voice to those who can't speak for themselves. Before we begin, let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? And what are your thoughts as the story unfolds? Welcome to True Crime Uncovered, where we examine the cases that shake communities and expose what happens behind closed doors. Real stories, real people, real impact. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Kayla Warren was a resident of Germania Park in Birmingham, Alabama. She lived in a home located on the 700 block of 30th Street Southwest, where she was later killed. Public records suggest she was a woman in her 20s, but her exact age has not been formally released. There is limited publicly available information regarding her occupation, but authorities confirmed that she lived alone or with close family members in residence. Her known social connections included neighbors, local acquaintances, and possibly relatives in the Birmingham area. There were no official reports indicating gang involvement, criminal history, or disputes involving Kayla. On social media, Kayla maintained a modest presence but had no significant public following or known controversies. At the time of the shooting, she was inside her home. She did not make a call to 911, suggesting that the attack happened quickly or without warning. Was Kayla the intended target of this attack? Had Kayla previously expressed fear for her safety or mentioned threats from anyone? Brian Adams was found shot outside the same residence. Like Kayla, he was believed to be in his 20s. He did not reside in the home, but was reportedly present in the area that night. His connection to the neighborhood remains unclear. Some local residents speculated that he may have been visiting someone on the block, possibly Kayla or a third party, but law enforcement did not confirm any relationship. There is no confirmed background linking Brian to criminal activity, though community rumors emerged after the shooting. He was found alive on the scene, but later died from his injuries at a hospital on August 22nd, 2024. Was Brian a bystander, or was his presence significant to the event? Could Brian and Kayla have had a personal or indirect connection that hasn't been disclosed? Gunfire erupted shortly after 8 p.m. Residents on the 700 block of 30th Street Southwest called emergency services to report shots fired. Upon arrival, police and EMS found Kayla Warren deceased inside a residence and Brian Adams wounded outside. Both appear to have suffered gunshot wounds. Authorities have not released the 911 call recordings or transcripts. It remains unclear how many calls were placed or by whom. The timeline between the reported gunfire and the arrival of first responders has not been made public. However, standard response times for Birmingham PD and local EMS units suggest they arrived within minutes. There was no report of forced entry and no suspect was seen fleeing the scene. Police conducted immediate area sweeps but reported no witnesses or suspects on site. Brian Adams succumbed to his injuries. A formal death investigation was launched. Birmingham police gave a press briefing noting the dual fatalities and appealed to the public for tips but did not release potential motives or suspect information. Why were there no suspects named in the early hours after 2 people were shot? What exactly did police recover at the crime scene that night, if anything? Germania Park is a residential area with moderate crime levels, including occasional incidents involving weapons. While not classified as high risk, certain sections have experienced past disturbances related to drugs and petty violence. In the months preceding this case, there were reports of gunfire in the broader vicinity, but no direct links were made to the August 21st shooting. Surveillance camera coverage in the neighborhood is limited. Some homes may have doorbell or private cameras, but no footage has been released by police. Nearby businesses or traffic cameras did not capture the incident. No gang activity has been officially connected to this case. The Birmingham PD did not confirm any group-related motive. Residents offered limited cooperation. Officers stated that gathering witness testimony was challenging, either due to fear or lack of direct observation. Did reluctance from neighbors delay the investigation? Could prior neighborhood incidents be connected to the shooting? In the immediate aftermath, the Birmingham Police Department conducted a full investigation, led by its homicide unit and supported by the crime reduction team. Officers cordoned off the crime scene and began evidence collection. No firearm was recovered at or near the crime scene. There were no eyewitnesses who could describe a suspect or vehicle. No surveillance footage was made available to the public. A motive was not established or publicly discussed. The department did not confirm whether forensic units recovered DNA, shell casings, or any other material evidence. K-9 units were seen at the site and a thorough sweep of the property was conducted, but no definitive physical evidence was reported. With no physical leads, how did police intend to pursue suspects? Were private surveillance systems reviewed and followed up on? On April 10, 2025, 8 months after the shooting, Birmingham PD arrested 23-year-old Jamil Carrillo Jemison. He was charged with capital murder and held without bond. The arrest followed an investigation led by the crime reduction team, though the nature of the evidence linking him to the case was not disclosed. Little is publicly known about Jamil's background. Police did not confirm any prior arrests, gang affiliation, or relationship to victims. The exact basis for his arrest, whether witness testimony, digital data, or informant reports, remains undisclosed. Shortly after, a second unnamed suspect was arrested. The Birmingham Police Department issued a statement about a second arrest, but did not release the individual's name, charges, or involvement level. Why was the second suspect never identified? Was the evidence behind these arrests compelling or speculative? Jamil Carrillo Jemison was charged with 2 counts of capital murder. Prosecutors described the charges as appropriate under Alabama law due to the use of deadly force against 2 individuals. However, the case did not progress to trial. In the months following the arrest, all charges were dropped. The official reason, lack of evidence. Prosecutors stated they could not establish a direct link between Jamil and the crime. No weapon had been found. No witness had testified. No physical evidence placed him at the scene. With no case to present, the state chose not to pursue further legal action. The suspect was released, and the case remains unresolved. Why did law enforcement and prosecutors proceed with public charges if the case lacked foundational evidence? Was pressure to solve the case influencing the decision to arrest and charge? 2 victims, 2 arrests, and no trial. The Germania Park double homicide raises critical questions about evidence, accountability, and the justice system's ability to prosecute violent crimes without clear leads. The victims' backgrounds, the mysterious circumstances, and the swift dismissal of charges all point to a case where answers are still missing. Who pulled the trigger? Why were Kayla Warren and Brian Adams targeted? And what, if anything, will finally bring this case to a close? Under Alabama law, a capital murder conviction requires not only proof that a murder occurred, but that it was carried out with qualifying aggravating circumstances, such as a killing of multiple victims, during the course of another felony, or with premeditation. The burden of proof is high. The prosecution must demonstrate guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. In the Germania Park double homicide, this legal threshold could not be met due to a critical lack of evidence. Despite the arrest of 2 suspects, including a named individual, Jamil Carrillo Jemison, no murder weapon was recovered and no ballistic match could be made. This removed a major piece of forensic evidence that could tie the weapon to the shooter and the crime scene. In addition, DNA evidence was not made public or may not have existed, removing the possibility of physically placing any suspect at the exact scene of the killings. No surveillance footage was released to show the events or the suspect's movements, which is notable given that this occurred in a residential area where private security systems are common. No eyewitness accounts were brought forward, meaning the prosecution had no direct narrative of what happened during the shooting. Perhaps most importantly, no confession or credible testimony linked either suspect to the murders. Without any of these 4 key forms of evidence, DNA, ballistics, surveillance, or confession, the prosecution faced a case built on circumstantial inference rather than solid proof. This raises a question. Was the arrest premature? While law enforcement may have believed they had enough probable cause to detain and charge, probable cause does not meet the higher standard of admissible, trial-ready evidence. Once the case reached prosecutorial review, it became clear that the burden for capital charges could not be met. The charges were quietly dropped. Statistically, murder charges being dropped due to lack of evidence is rare, but not unprecedented, especially in complex investigations involving multiple victims. When it happens, it often reflects either incomplete investigations, poor case building, or unavailable forensic support. Was this case mishandled by prosecutors or investigators? Should the standard of evidence be revisited in capital cases with multiple victims? At the time of the double homicide, local media outlets reported on the incident promptly. Initial headlines detailed the shooting, identifying both Kayla Warren and Brian Adams as victims. Follow-up reports tracked their conditions and deaths over following day. Once the arrests were made in April 2025, coverage again increased, highlighting that suspects have been apprehended and capital charges filed. However, media attention sharply declined once the charges were dropped. There was no widely circulated follow-up story detailing why the prosecution failed or outlining the state's reasoning. The lack of a public statement from the district attorney's office left an information gap that was never filled. Most local media outlets did not pursue further investigation after the suspects were released. The community's reaction was equally muted. There were no public protests, community forums, or known advocacy efforts pushing for continued investigation or justice. The families of both victims remained silent in the public space. Whether out of grief, caution, or frustration is not known. The families of the suspects also did not speak to the press. This silence created an atmosphere where the case essentially vanished from public discourse. There was no formal statement from Birmingham Police Department after the charges were dropped, and no clarification on whether the investigation was still active or officially shelved. This silence has left residents and viewers with unanswered questions about the efficiency and transparency of the process. As a result, public trust in BPD and the criminal justice system may have been weakened, especially in a case involving 2 victims, an arrest, and then complete legal retreat without resolution. Why didn't this case get national attention despite being a double homicide? Do local homicides without celebrity victims often fade without resolution? As of mid-2025, the case remains officially unsolved. There are no suspects in custody, and there have been no new public statements or briefings from the Birmingham Police Department since the charges were dropped. The most recent known update occurred during the arrests in April 2025. The BPD's official website and press releases have not listed this case as part of any ongoing cold case initiative. No hotline or public appeal for new information appears active in relation to the Germania Park shootings. The investigation status, whether it's open but inactive, closed due to lack of leads, or under cold case review, has not been disclosed. There has also been no indication that an independent review unit or external task force has been assigned to re-examine the circumstances of the case. With both victims now long buried and the suspects legally unbound, the risk of permanent stagnation is high. What happens when a double homicide case goes cold? Should unsolved violent crimes be handled by a special independent task force? Looking at similar incidents in the Germania Park area, patterns of unsolved or poorly resolved violent crimes are not uncommon. Birmingham has faced a persistent challenge with gun violence in residential areas, where witness cooperation is limited and forensic technology may be underutilized. This specific double homicide raises the issue of whether the shooting was personal, random, or retaliatory in nature. The two victims, one killed indoors, the other outdoors, suggest either a coordinated attack or a rapidly escalating confrontation. Without public statements from investigators, the motive remains undetermined. A concerning pattern across similar cases is the disappearance or non-existence of critical evidence. No murder weapon recovered, no DNA match, no video surveillance accessed or admitted into record. Whether due to poor crime scene containment, lack of forensic follow-through, or unwillingness of community members to step forward, these gaps are repeating across cases. This brings forward questions about what could have been done differently. A more aggressive canvassing for cameras or mobile footage, faster forensic processing at the scene, broader community outreach for tips under protection, independent oversight of stalled homicide investigations. Has this neighborhood seen similar cases with no resolution? Was this crime personal, random, or retaliatory in nature? What could have been done differently, investigatively, or legally? If you found this story as gripping and heartbreaking as we did, don't forget to like this video and share it with others. And if you want to hear more true crime stories that uncover the mysteries behind these tragic events, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest stories, updates, and discussions. Thank you for joining us on this journey to seek justice and explore the truth. Together, we can make a difference. Until next time, stay safe and stay aware.